Thanks for joining us today. My name is Chris with Keystone Lawn and Tree Care in Spokane, Washington. Today we have a special guest, Phil from Phil's Lawn Care.
How's it going?
Now, Phil's kind of a big deal around here. I think so anyway. Love having him here with us. He, as you know, in my channel here with Keystone Lawn and Tree Care, I try to focus on getting new businesses started with, just in the first few years. And Phil has been doing it just,
3 years.
3 years. So
he's still new to it.
He's still new to it. He's perfect. I've been doing it for over 10 years, and it's been a long, hard road. And I wish I was able to bounce some of these ideas off of, somebody else. And then, so now we have Phil in here. He's going to share his experience of like what his last few years have been like. And hopefully Phil's journey hasn't been as hard as mine, because I didn't know any of this. I didn't even know how to fix a lawnmower. And Phil's background's a little different than mine. My background is I came from corporate America, so this stuff is all really new to me. And so I had a hard time. But Phil, on the other hand, I think he's going to have a leg up, and we're going to talk a little bit why he's had a leg up and some of the things that he's done.
Yeah.
So Phil, we're friends, and I think we sat right here in this same garage probably like 3-4 years ago, right about the time you were getting started in your first year.
I had a client right over here,
right across the street. I was talking about a missed opportunity for me. I'm like kicking myself. Phil comes in the neighborhood. I'm like, who's this guy pulling across the street?
Yeah.
But we had already known each other because you were a small engine mechanic at the local hardware store, and I used to bring my stuff to you, and you would fix it up for me and bring it back. And so we kind of know each other. But and Phil has his own podcast, YouTube channel. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I have a YouTube channel, Phil's Lawn Care. It's basically every other channel out there. Same thing, same content: mowing, trimming, edging, blowing, doing lawn makeover videos. I don't get much into like how to start small engine repair, lawn care. But that's where the podcast comes into play. That's where I'm doing like truck podcasts, talking about my struggles. So it's everything that you don't see on camera, I'm talking. So sometimes I talk my mind, so you can hear random things of me ranting, or how I hate my business, or how I love my business, and how I'm losing money, or how I'm gaining a lot of money. So all that you can listen to the podcast. It's called The Mow to Grow, and you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more places. So but as far as YouTube goes, it's mainly just content or entertainment for my viewers. So
entertainment. And speaking of entertainment, here on the table behind us, I asked Phil to bring his hobby, and I have my hobby here behind us. Phil, why don't you tell me a little bit about your hobby and kind of like what you do in your free time for fun?
Yeah. So I'm not like 100% business guy. I know a lot of people are like, put your head in the game, work 7 days a week, 24/7, your business. I'm not like that. I feel like you need to take some time off, or you're just going to work yourself to the ground and how do people call it? Burn yourself out really early.
Sure.
And it's really unhealthy for your body. And so I'm a firm believer in taking weekends off. That's just me personally. On a Saturday here and there, maybe do like some maintenance, some small stuff. But on my Saturday, Sundays, I'm spending time with my family, my wife. I'm going fishing with my dad. My dad's really
cool,
like 100% fisherman guy.
Nice.
So he loves fishing. I sometimes go out with my friends and play disc golf. There's like 8 courses around Spokane, and so
he's
right. I go out and spend my time wisely, and just like turn my brain off to where I'm not thinking of work. I'm not thinking of, I got to get this estimate done. I'm not thinking of the next money making opportunity. I'm taking my weekends off, and just, I don't know how you are, Chris.
Yeah,
but,
I feel
it's
the same
like
way.
It's like if I'm constantly thinking of business, thinking of work, yeah, sure, I might grow. I might find more opportunities of how to make my money, or where to invest my money. But I also need to understand that I do have a personal life, and I do have a wife that has needs. And so there's a lot of guys out there that are solo, that are single. They're in their early 20s, or even in the teenage life. They just moved out of their parents' house, maybe live in an apartment, or they're still living with their parents. Man, go for it. Go work 24/7 business and grow and do whatever. But once you got family, man, it changes the game.
That's really important for like your own mental health. Just, taking. I do the same thing. I take the weekends off, but it wasn't always like that, man. And when I first got started, those first couple years, man, I was just like all in, working 7 days a week. 15 hours a day, just going nuts. And you're right, it takes a toll on your family and stuff. And so just, I'd say in the last 6, 7 years, I've dialed it back since then. And I've been taking my weekends off and spending it with the family and the kids and watching them grow up. We go camping and stuff like that. And on the table here behind me, my hobbies are, I'm in my mid 40s and Phil is in his mid 20s. So there's a big difference here.
Yeah.
And so, I'm kind of reliving my childhood days of having the Game Boy here and then my Ghetto Blaster here behind me. And it's just kind of fun. And Phil doesn't know I'm going to do this, but I put a game here in my Game Boy and I'm going to turn it on and we're going to see if Phil can guess what game I'm playing. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get this shot right. I'm going to hold this up to the camera and Phil does.
I think I might have a guess. So I used to have a Game Boy. Is it going to play a soundtrack?
Yeah, it's going to play a soundtrack here. Let me hit start.
Maybe I'll know. I don't know.
All right, here we go.
I want to say it's like a Pokemon.
I'm going to start the game now.
Oh man, I'm so bad. Is this Mario? I'm terrible. Tetris.
Yes,
That's
you
what
got
it
it.
is. Yeah, I knew the sound sounded so familiar. I'm like, where did I hear that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good.
I didn't know the intro, but that second one, hit a nerve.
That's good. I'm glad you guessed that. That's funny. So so we're coming from two different perspectives. I'm in my mid 40s. I got a couple of kids. I'm married. Phil is in his mid 20s. He's getting started in the first couple of years of his business, and he's married and no kids.
No kids. Yeah.
So we kind of have a different perspective, I would say, on things, and so that's why I've invited Phil over here to sit in my garage and kind of shoot the breeze and talk a little bit about what we've been up to and how things may be different, but how a lot of our goals are the same.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the same goals. Our family's important to us, and taking time off and having the weekends is important. Our own mental, sanity, and we have fun hobbies here behind us. And so, well, I actually wrote down a few questions here, just kind of preparing for like what are we going to talk about, and I guess it's January now, the end of January, early February, and we're kind of wrapping things up. We're balancing our books. We're trying to figure out how we did last year, and we're setting goals for ourselves for next year.
And we're making these videos because we have time. And it's like 25 degrees out. There's no work.
It's not snowing. And we have a really short growing season here in Spokane. It's only about 150 days, so we really have to make hay while the sun shines. And otherwise, we do silly videos like this. And hey, I want to take a second and just thank our wives for supporting us and our hobbies. Without our wives, we wouldn't be able to do corny stuff like this and have fun, and be able to take time off and goof off. So real big shout out to our wives, and not just our wives, all the other women out there, girlfriends and wives that are supporting their husbands while they start their new business and go down that new trip and that new journey. And it's difficult, and without our wives,
you gotta have a backbone.
We wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you very much for all that. So without further ado, let's get into it. I wrote down some questions. Let's just kind of get a broad question, like how was your year, Phil? And are
we talking 2022 or 2021?
Let's do 2021 because we're just recapping last year.
Last year was my third year in business. I think I've improved. I've hit my goals. My goals were hit over 100,000 and actually I didn't hit my 100,000 mark as a solo guy, and this is gross. This is pre-tax. I was so close. I hit 95,000.
That's great.
No, wait, hold on, man. I'm all mixed up. In 2020, I hit 95, and then that's the year I didn't hit my mark. This in 2021, I did hit my mark. It was over. I want to say close to 120, 130.
Good. That's awesome.
And that was combined with. That's when my YouTube kicked off too. Yeah. So that's YouTube combined business, or they pay me as like like they 1099 me at the end of the year.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. So take that money and combine it with the business. I'm probably at right around 130. So
that's great.
Combine both. Yeah, I hit my mark. I hit way past my mark. So that's actually one of my goals. It's my goals every year.
Yeah.
I don't seem to want to grow to get an employee. I want to stay solo just because it's less of a headache, and I know there's more opportunities out there with an employee. You can get more work and make more money. But right now where I'm at, I feel like, I don't want to get an employee. I don't want to hire. It's just my personal thing. So
Yeah, thanks for sharing those numbers, because it's kind of taboo, talking about how much money you make, but then on YouTube you want to like brag about it and say, oh, I made so much
people
money.
want to hear numbers. I feel like a lot of people hide their numbers, and it's like when I started out, no one was sharing their numbers, like straight up, like telling me, hey, I made this much. Here's how I made, and here's how much I took home. When I first started out, my first year, it was like I opened my business in August 16th, 2018. I was still working my 9 to 5, and I was working my 2 days off. And so I had to pack in my 2 days with mowing, estimating, and doing all that. And I was also working after work. So man, I was hitting that 60 to 80 hour weeks of working with a 9 to 5.
Why did you make that shift? I mean, you had a steady job. You had it. You were just getting married, or you're just about ready to get married.
So when I opened my business, I was not married yet. It was August, and so I was actually saving up money to get married.
All right,
so
good for you.
I did. My folks, I don't come from a rich family.
Yeah.
I was actually born in Russia, so we came here to America when I was 4. I grew up, majority of my life I grew up here. Went to public school, K through 12, college, and so never really had lots of money. We were financially stable, but I wouldn't say we were wealthy. And so I had to buy my own car. I had to, my parents provided meals and all that for me. I'm thankful for them. God bless their heart. But I still had to, I didn't even pay for college. I went to community college. And
me
so
too.
I got funded through the state and didn't take out any loans. Thank God. I know some people are paying off loans and like $50,000. And so I was wise on that part. I would say I'm wise because I don't regret any of the decisions I made. And but I started out and I got, I had to, continuing back, I was on like a rabbit trail there, but
so bring it back around.
Bring it back.
So you're working at the hardware store.
Yeah, working at the hardware store, just getting married, and then it struck me. I'm like, man, I'm only getting paid like minimum wage.
Yeah.
And maybe at that time some people could live off a minimum wage if they're like single. If the other side, if the wife worked, but my wife didn't work. She was going to school.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, man, well, I'm the only guy. I'm the
breadwinner.
Yeah, the breadwinner. That's right. Bringing home the money, and I'm basically living paycheck to paycheck at this job. And I was doing side jobs. After August, I was working up, getting clientele, mowing the lawns, and then I figured, I'm like, well, my business is, I started in August, and my business is all the way up to maybe mid-November when you're doing fall cleanup.
Like 2 months.
After that,
you're done.
Who knows if your lawn care people are going to want snow removal?
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, still working. Obviously season ended. I was doing like little here, little there snow removal for like 3-4 people, and I was still bringing in a little bit, $120 extra on top of my paycheck. And I wouldn't say, I'll be honest, like we had trouble. I had trouble with credit cards.
Oh yeah.
Because my wife didn't have any credit cards. I had the credit cards. I had a business credit, a line of credit, and I had a personal line of credit. I wasn't maxing them out, but I was racking up the numbers to where I was like,
scary.
It was scary. And then I'm like, I need to find ways to make money, and I need to find ways to make money, and I need to find ways to make my business grow. But then I always thought that my 9 to 5 job was limiting me.
Yeah.
And so all through from like November to I'd say March, it was obviously the slow season, what we're dealing with now. So you're working
at the hardware store.
Working at the hardware store.
Steady paycheck.
Yeah, and I was I had a time to communicate with all like you guys, like you. I've talked with you plenty of times. Yeah. I talked with Sonder Lawn Care, Corey and Dale Sonder. And they were telling me like, hey man, just do it. You've opened up a business, because I was sharing like my personal things too. Like, hey man, I don't know how to give up this 9 to 5 job. It's steady pay.
Yeah, and it's security.
It's paying the bills, security.
Yeah.
I'm getting health, medical, dental, optical insurance through them. Everything's nice. How do I make the decision of quitting? Yeah. How do I give all this up and go full time lawn care when I barely have any, lawns to mow?
Yeah,
man.
Right.
How do I do this? And how do people do this?
Jump,
how do they get out of? It's like, how do I pull the trigger? And so when March and April season came, finally started mowing again, got my 3-4 clients, and I'm like, no, dude, I gotta kick this off. I gotta put it into high gear.
Yeah.
So I barely had any money, right? I was doing paycheck to paycheck kind of, and still had credit. And I'm like, wife, I gotta do something about this. This is not going good. I don't want to spend the rest of my life just working having a side job, business job.
Yeah.
And working full-time 9 to 5. And so I'm like, I need to spend money on advertisement, but I don't have the funds.
You don't have the money.
So
yeah, it's
like,
tough.
well,
what do you do?
What do you do? So I didn't do the door knocking. I was never the door knocking person. And I know a lot of people are like, that's free marketing, free advertisement. You go door knocking, go door to door, sell your services.
That's what I did.
Yeah. I was never the type though, but I had Craigslist. And so I posted Craigslist, spent like $20 at the time. Well, at the time it was free. And then right at that moment, they switched it to $5 per post. And so I spent like $20 a month advertising, made a Google My Business. That was very important
that's
too.
free too.
It's free. Yeah. And Nextdoor helped me as well.
Yeah, that's a free service. Yeah.
Posted my ads on there, which I don't think you're supposed to, but I did it anyways. I'm like, hey, I'm willing to cut your lawn for like $25.
Oh yeah, I was there, man. I know it. Yeah.
And so, but Chris, my decisions were bringing in calls, calls left and right. Like, hey, can you come give me an estimate? I'm like, they're like, can you give me an estimate right now? And I'm like sitting there on my office ordering parts. I'm like trying to not hide my phone.
You were doing small engine repair too at the time for yourself and for the hardware store.
Yeah, and so I was bringing in, I was getting clients that needed their lawnmowers tuned up. I was doing it at the home. And I know you're not supposed to do that either, but nobody knew. I was stealth. Brand new, yeah. I was stealth. I was brand new, just getting started. And so I didn't know any.
I think it's important to say, too, that you were not fishing off the company pier when you're working at the hardware store.
Yes, and I had to talk with the manager. He found out when I got my truck logoed.
Yeah.
When that was when things were kicking off. I'm like, I want to put I had the '04 Colorado. I put like Phil's Lawn Care.
Yeah.
And
I remember seeing that out in the parking lot.
And small engine repair.
Yeah.
The general manager saw that and he took me back and he's like, hey, I see you got small engine repair on your truck now.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about the lawn care, but I really care about small engine. You better not be mining off our business.
Yeah, you don't want to fish off the company pier. Shoot yourself
and I'm like,
in the foot.
I'm like, you know what? No. As long as I can put my business cards on a billboard like everyone else does.
Yeah, in the back room. Right?
Yeah, in the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I can do that, that's all basically I'm doing. I'm not spread no word, no nothing. You won't hear about my business other than the truck. And
the truck parked out front. In a high traffic zone.
Put it right there.
Park it right out on the street.
Oh man, but that's how I started. And I know I wasn't doing the right thing of answering calls during work.
Yeah, sure.
During lunchtime, man, I would go out, do estimates. I wouldn't even eat.
Oh man.
It was so bad. It was like, but hey, we got to do something. Thankfully, we had hour lunches. We weren't like 30 minutes on clock lunches. We clock out, hour, you can do whatever you want during that hour. So I was going out doing like 3-4 estimates during that hour.
Yeah.
Sending them out and texting clients, calling clients, and like things kicked off. I think I was like up to 10, 11, 12 reoccurring mows. And that's when things kicked off. And then I was like, hey, I'm doing so much of this work. I was doing fall or spring cleanups at the time, doing small engine repair, and I was finally, I replaced my income with my business income.
Sure.
So how much I was, and I wasn't like thinking of taxes. I was just thinking like
just money,
gross
paying
money.
the bills.
I was like,
just
this
feeding yourself.
is nice.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where I was like on the verge of pulling the trigger. And I was talking to my wife. We were praying about it.
Pulling the trigger mean quitting your job.
Quitting my job. Okay. Yeah. Like finally. And I wasn't even going to go doing that part-time stuff. I wasn't going to do part-time still working at Ace. I was like, when I quit, I quit.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And finally at the end, I think it was the middle of May, I was like mowing. I had my trailer. I had my truck. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
I had my advertisement down. I was still getting calls left and right because we live in a big city. And there's like a lot of lawn care companies out here, but people are moving in here and there's so much business opportunity.
There's so much opportunity.
Dude, insane. A lot of people get distracted when they see like, oh, there's a lot of people, but there's a lot of companies. And they get distracted.
There's a lot of grass out there to mow.
Yeah, and there always will be because people are still moving in. There's a lot more people moving in than moving out. That's the thing.
The place is growing and People in Spokane are crazy about their yards.
Yeah.
When I first moved here, I'd never seen a place where there were so many green, lush yards. Everybody has a sprinkler system. You know, they're all irrigating, they're all fertilizing, and the grass is growing like crazy. And I thought, what an opportunity.
Yeah. And finally pulled the trigger, left, and I think I had up to 20 accounts, mowing accounts. And dude, like quitting was like, it was like you were carrying weights on your shoulder, and when you quit, those weights, like, you hit the chains, they break off.
Yeah, and you just
and
like,
you drive off in the sunset, and you're like,
sort of into the sunset. Then you really start to work.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, I remember my first week full-time business owner. I'm like, this is what it's all about. This is what they've been bragging to me.
Yeah,
You've been bragging to me about.
You could just like take a lunch break, you know, whenever.
Dude,
you
man,
work
you
hard.
wake up.
And, yeah.
You don't have to, you know, sit there, pack a lunch, and go to your 9 to 5. You wake up. You got your route of mowing clients or estimates to do, and you feel great. And I felt great that I made the decision. My wife encouraged me big time of making the decision, and I just couldn't because, like the security we were talking about.
Yeah.
You don't, you can't quit until you finally understand that you have enough money to cover the bills, to cover the rent, and have enough money to spend, with family time, and obviously before family time, food on the table. You gotta, survive.
You gotta pay your rent.
So,
yeah.
So
I think that's important. When you're first getting started, there's just so much, what if, and that can be such a barrier to entry. Is just the mental, like, space that you're in.
Yeah.
And if you make that decision to just go ahead, I think that's really the biggest thing, is just to make that decision and plunge in and do it.
Yeah, the what ifs really fog your vision.
Yeah,
they do, because you don't see what's on the other side. You don't see, all you see is your excuses and all of your barriers.
Yeah.
But once you look over, once you remove those barriers, remove the excuses, and look what's on the other side, you can really see the potential.
Yeah, and you really see your success. You have to educate yourself. You have to know the field. You're in the small engine business. You kind of know the area. You know what? So it's an educated jump, if you will. You're not just going to jump out there blindly. You've done your homework. You know that there's a market there. You know there's a lot of potential, and you want to do it, and you're just going to make that plunge. And as you found, and as we've all found, really, is that it's not a matter of marketing and getting everything just right and getting your advertising. For me, it was more like, how am I going to keep up with all of this work? I mean, it was crazy. It's just like, it turned from my marketing from like, how am I going to get all this work done? And that's one thing that I've
came
learned.
So fast. That's
it was just like, bam.
As soon as you get your name out there, people are calling. Like, I thought, well, I'm going to open up my business and people are going to, come to me. That's not how it works.
Not
if you open up your business, if you open up your business and do nothing but just establish your LLC, you do nothing, no one will know who you are.
You got to do a little work, but then it quickly changes from marketing to like, how am I going to handle all this workload?
Yeah. My first year, I had thoughts of hiring somebody.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, I'm getting too ahead of myself. So I'm like, no, I got to cut back.
Yeah, my very first year, about 6 months in, I hired the youth group kid from church once a week, and we pal around on a Friday, and we just mow a bunch of yards on a Friday. And at the time, I was probably paying him like $10 an hour. It was cash under the table. At the end of the day, I'd pay him $100 or something.
Yeah, just helping him out.
Yeah, and it was kind of a win-win. I'd help him out, I'd give him a few bucks, and then he was helping me out tremendously. And that was all off the books. This is all before I really knew better. Yeah. And that's another leap. We could probably talk about that a little bit later. But making that leap from employees it's tough.
Yeah. You want to take a break?
Yeah,
it's cold, man.
Yeah, it is cold.
Well, I got cold fast.
Yeah. We turned off the shop heater for our first take, and it got cold in the garage. Again, it's only about 20 degrees outside, and it got really cold.
Hey, this coffee's warming up. Yeah, we got your tea going.
Yeah, we went inside. We got some coffee. We turned on the shop heater up here in the corner, so you might hear a little bit of noise. But we got off on a really...
it went from... He asked me, how was your 2021? And we went off to starting my lawn care business.
I was like all over the place, I know. So let's bring it back around. Yeah. I think what we wanted to talk about was like, how was the year, but what are some important things that we learned over the course of the year?
Yeah, I learned to say no. I think that was the most important for me. Yeah. It's like, I used to be a yes guy, and I was the jack of all trades.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would go and clean people's gutters, and this was even
Oh man,
last year.
Yeah.
This
That
was last
like,
year.
oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't fully have a dedicated service list. I was like, well, I kind of need the money. I have the
Yeah.
time. Let's go clean some gutters.
Yeah.
Or I have the money.
Yeah.
Let's go. Because
I do
back
that
then,
now.
back then, I used to repair small engines, and I hated it because with small engine repair, it's like you have lawn care business, and then you're also putting small engine repair, and you got the other side of people waiting on
Yeah.
machines to get done because people need their lawnmowers done.
But
and
and
tuned
then
up.
if you're in the off season like this, you need to work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you do? I've done that too. Just recently, we opened up an off season handyman repair business.
Mhm.
If you look over there, you can see a flyer on the wall there.
Oh yeah.
Now offering handyman services during our off season, bold and capitalized.
Yeah.
Just to try to keep things busy.
I used to do that too.
Yeah.
With the handyman part, I used to do a handyman service for this lady. She'd pay me $60 an hour, my rate back then.
Yeah.
And this was last year, I believe 2020, and the last time I did was 2021. And then she told me she couldn't afford me anymore, so it was okay. But
Yeah.
I was literally moving boxes for her. She was an older lady, so she couldn't move.
So you've learned to say no.
I've learned to say no to
Maybe
those
let's bring it
things,
back
man.
around here.
Yeah, and I learned to say no. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I can't do the service because, again, I used to be the yes guy. Oh yeah, I'll do it. And I would like, say yes, but then
Yeah.
like regret it because I didn't actually know how to do it.
Then you really feel obligated, like got to
Yeah.
see it through. And yeah, I've been there.
So I've simplified my services down to
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 things, and that's
Yeah.
it. And I don't care if I need the money and the opportunities there, I'll say no, because just for my own personal
Sanity.
Yeah, for the sanity,
Yeah.
because then I'll be like, oh, I failed again. Oh,
Yeah.
I failed again.
Sure.
So it's like, nope, I'm not doing it unless it's these services.
Yeah, and that's important, especially when you're first getting started. You need to pick a lane and you need to stick in it.
Mm-hmm.
Phil, you had a hard time because you mentioned you were doing small engine repair,
Yeah.
you're doing like handyman stuff, you're mowing lawns, you're cleaning gutters, and when you first get started, you do anything, to put food on the table. I mean,
Yeah.
you're hungry. And you got a lot of gaps in your schedule, especially if you only have like 3 or 4 people you're
Right.
mowing, and some little old lady calls you and asks you to fix her kitchen sink. You're like, sure.
I did toilet repair.
Yeah.
I did kitchen sinks.
Yeah, me
I did
too.
it all.
Yeah. And so I guess it's important to say, we're not perfect, but you do really have to stay in your lane. If you want to do small engine repair, do small engine repair.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to do lawn mowing, do lawn mowing. If you want to do kitchen sink, plumbing repair, be a plumber.
Yeah.
And it's important to stay in your lane.
Yeah, and that's what this year's goal is. One of my this year's goals is not touch an engine unless it's for friends and family.
Or it's
And
your
then
own
I'm not
engine.
like, or my own, because I barely had enough time last year to do
Yeah.
my own. But this year, don't do small engine repair, again, unless it's for friends, family, or my own. And again, just for your personal sanity,
Yeah.
because then if you start doing it again, then you're like, oh, yeah, I failed, and now I added one more thing to my service list. And so minimize those things, learn to say no, and just stick to them.
Yeah, and the messaging to the public and your customers too should be consistent. You can't say, hey, I do small engine repair, and then fix their lawnmower, and then they start mowing their own lawn. I mean, you kind of shoot yourself in the
right.
foot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's important. That's one thing that I've learned too recently is being able to schedule my time and to say no to certain projects. When I first got started, again, we were doing anything. I'd mentioned in previous videos where I was installing pavers and patios and doing hard landscaping, which is great. There's a lot of money to be made there. But again, I was getting out of my lane. I was like installing patios over here, and then I was mowing lawns over here, and I was just all over the place. And so being able to say no and stick to one thing is important.
I think, and it's also good, you figure out your core competencies.
Yeah.
Figure out what you're good at.
What you're good at.
And what you're profitable in, because you
Yes.
can be good at something but not be profitable.
Yeah.
You can be a good landscape mulch installation guy, but not know your numbers.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, you only made like $200, and you're like,
Oh,
wow,
man.
I worked like 8 hours.
That
and
was
I
like
only
the
made
story of
200.
my life when I was first getting started, man. I would, like I was saying, I would install these patios and they would look great, but I wasn't a landscaper guy. I didn't really know how to budget or
Bid and-
forecast or bid any of this stuff, and they turned out great, and I made a little bit of money, but it wasn't really worth the headache. So that's one thing that I've learned over the years, and one thing that I'm going to go moving forward is I'm going to try to narrow it up stay in my lane, and at least during the season. I know
it's tough when
yeah,
you got no work.
I'm kind of a
Yeah.
hypocrite because I installed a kitchen sink last week for someone, but you know, you do
Hey,
what
I
you can.
repaired a snowblower for my pastor. But
Yeah.
again, it's
It's
friends,
it's
family. Hey.
Yeah,
But,
that's kind of a
hey,
great line.
I still charge him, and you know we still got to make money.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So that's one thing that we've learned over the years: try to stay in our lane, try to do what you said, your competencies. What are you good
Yeah.
at, and identifying those things in yourself, and that kind of it goes with surrounding yourself with good people. While
yeah.
I like Phil, and he's we talk about
Yep.
stuff. We surrounded ourselves with good people here. He's a small engine mechanic. He's done my stuff in the past.
Yep.
Again, he doesn't do that now.
No. Hey, you're a friend, man. Hit me up.
Yeah, so it's just important to surround yourself with good people. Your wife, your family and stuff, your pastor at church and stuff. And being able to surround yourself with good family, it keeps you in good mental health. And it keeps you on track.
Yeah.
And that's one
Yeah.
thing that I've really learned this last year is just staying on track. And let's move on.
Sure.
I think let's see. We talked about what we've learned this year. I wanted to talk a little bit about the COVID and the whole like supplies and supply chain issues and stuff in our industry. I haven't really experienced any problem with that. Other than getting employees to work, but I guess that's kind of universal. But if you don't have any employees,
Right.
you don't have anything
Yeah.
to worry about there.
Yeah.
I personally haven't really had any issues with COVID. Personally, hasn't affected my business at all. In fact, it's grown. And
Yeah.
how
Neither
what
of
have you
mine.
found?
No, neither of mine. I
Yeah.
think it's grown.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people now are, what I've heard, and this isn't my theory or I didn't do my research, but I heard someone say, I don't know who it was, but they're like, look, people are staying at home more, right? And now, again, while this recording, by this time, people are out working now,
Yeah.
but a lot of people were staying at home at the time, 2020.
Yeah.
They were finding things that were wrong with their house. They were
Yeah.
now noticing more weeds in their yard.
Yeah.
Because they were always, working 9 to 5. You're not home. You're not noticing these things.
Yeah.
And now they're like, this tree is a little off. Oh, this shrubs need to be trimmed.
Or
These bushes.
I'm looking out the window at my grass all day.
Yeah,
and it
you're
looks
like, I'm
terrible.
noticing like all these weeds.
Yeah.
And now they're calling companies,
Yeah.
like spraying companies, weed control, tree trimming guys,
Yeah.
and they're wanting services.
Yeah.
So that's boosting the work of other people. Now, when it first started, I was on the edge. I contacted you. I contacted Sonder Lawn Care, all these
Yeah.
other lawn care companies, my buddies, and asked them like, "Hey, are you guys like quitting? Like,
Like,
are
no,
you
man.
gonna be off for
I was
like 2
heck
weeks?
no,
or
man,
what?"
get back to
Get
work.
back to work. Stop complaining. Go. The work's out there.
Yeah.
And it increased. It did.
Yeah.
I was still working. Nothing changed. I think you're saying you were hit sometimes. You were like a sheriff. Or
Oh yeah,
something.
I got a nasty gram from the
Man.
sheriff, but
he's like, "What are you doing?"
yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
"Out in
I'm-
people's
I'm
yard, man."
working, yeah.
I'm out working. Because like we were an essential service. I mean,
yeah,
you let a grass grow, especially in the May when it was
Yeah.
the season, like April,
Yeah.
May. Man, grass got up to a foot.
yeah.
And like
The hardware
insects
store
and-
was open,
Right, yeah,
Those
it's
guys are killing it.
It's like homes need to be built.
Yeah.
Concrete needs to be poured.
Yeah.
Lawns need to be cut. There's so many things that need, like, okay, painting homes. It's not really
But it is,
thing, but it
it's
still
important,
is. Yeah. You still need to sell a house. You
Yeah.
know, you want to keep it maintained and all that. So, we were an essential service. So. My heart goes out to the restaurants, man. They got hit hard.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know a lot of people went out of business.
Yeah.
A lot of people started doing like takeout and delivery and
Yeah.
all that, and that makes sense. But for us lawn care guys, it's like nothing changed.
It was great.
We have no contact.
Yeah.
I made it simple. I'm like, pay online. Don't pay me with
Yeah,
check.
right.
I don't accept checks or cash
Yeah,
anymore.
pay
just
online.
to kind of
People should be paying online anyway. It's
right.
faster
Credit
and
cards on
easier.
file
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
that.
Credit
yeah.
card
So
on file.
I converted all to online payments. No more sending out like paper invoices through
Yeah.
mail or anything like that. It was all email. And I told them, don't come out. If you're worried about
Yeah.
getting
Just-
COVID or anything, stay inside. Don't
Yeah.
even say hi. A lot of people like to say hi to me.
Sure.
I'm like, stay inside. I'm out there
Yeah.
mowing. I bill you at the end of the month, and that's it. So no contact.
Yeah. And our target demographic in this industry are people, frankly, who have money.
Mhm.
And the people that have money, they weren't really affected by the COVID. They were able to
Yeah.
work from home. Maybe there's your seniors and they're already on, the
Retirement
and stuff.
yeah.
So our target demographic wasn't really affected. But yeah, like you said, if you work in a restaurant or something, your demographic is different. It's just devastating.
Now, let me ask you, did you have any people that canceled the services with you?
Canceled altogether in directly because of COVID? Because
Oh,
maybe
because
they
of
lost their
COVID, or
job?
maybe or maybe lost their job.
No, I don't think so. Well, no, that's not true. Maybe I had one person cancel, but they probably shouldn't have been paying me $50 a week to mow their lawn anyway. You
Oh,
know,
okay,
when you get somebody who's a paycheck to paycheck person, they're not your target audience. You really probably shouldn't take them on as a client, even though you could.
It's hard to filter them out because you
Yeah.
don't know. You're not going to ask where they work, how much they make.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
You almost should because
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I had a little old lady just up the street here, and she was on a tight budget. And when I told her my pricing, you know, she ended up having a really hard time paying me. And then I felt bad. You know, I was like, well, I got to cut you. You know, you're not paying, and I don't want to bring my. I said, well, I can bring my kids. Like my kids can do it for like like $25. And then she's like, it's still a little too much. And then then I was like, I'm sorry, this is probably not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
So that's one thing that we learned. What else? What else do we got here? What are some things that you're going to do? We talked about things we learned, things that we might do differently. We're starting to say no to certain projects. One thing that's kind of in our industry is the whole battery versus gasoline. I know that you run some electric stuff.
I just got into it.
Yeah, it's same here. And I'm really low, just getting into it, but I think there's a potential. What do you think?
Big potential.
Yeah.
Because nowadays, like Steel, Husqvarna, Echo, they're coming out with their own battery lines.
Yeah.
And whether that be, and I know it's not like mowers. I mean, Steel does have a few push mowers that are battery operated, which is nice. And so Milwaukee just came out with one. But I'm talking about like string trimmers, edgers, blowers.
Yeah.
I mean, my first battery operated machine was a blower. And I think it saved me a lot of time because, man, when we cut grass, I mean, we just got a little bit of grass on the driveway. We just got to blow it off real quick.
It's fast.
Now, that changes when it's raining because the grass sticks, and then you got to get your backpack blower and blow it off and all that.
Especially in the grass, like you got to blow out
but
the
in
chunks.
Spokane, we get rain delays here and there a little bit, but we don't get rained on like Seattle.
Yeah,
or the other West Side people.
Yeah.
So, or like people in Alabama, man, they get like
they get
a
killed.
foot of rain or something like that.
I watch those videos online. I think, oh man, those poor guys.
Yeah, they're mowing and they're like their tires are in this much soil and they're just sinking. But first one was a battery blower. It was great. Then I switched over to a trimmer. I just got those KMA 135 by Steel.
The Steel battery.
Bottom, got the battery operated, and that was a game changer for me. It really was. And it might not be.
How many really? Because I did a review on the battery versus the gas, and I was really unhappy about the battery time. How long
they last.
Yeah. And not only that, just shut up here. Let me finish. That these things, the batteries are really expensive, and it's so cost prohibitive. Like, how can you afford to have like multiple $100 batteries?
Yeah,
Well,
there's a lot of things that you have to put into perspective. There's weight, there's time that you actually use it before battery dies, and how much money you're saving.
Sure.
So I put a lot of these three together. Again, I just got into it, so I'm not like a guru or a genius on efficiency and all that. But I figured that if I'm doing 10 lawns a day, I already did like calculations. I'm like, okay, I have 4 batteries, and each battery lasts me around, I'd say, if I'm using it on like the low setting, which with maintenance, you're not trimming a lot.
Yeah.
If you're doing overgrown properties, that's one battery per property. I mean, the battery dies.
How much are those batteries though?
Like 200.
Oh, you're
220,
killing me.
220 for. But look.
And you got how? You got 4 of them?
I got 2 of the most powerful. So there's AP 300, 200, and 100. The 300 is the best battery. It's got the most cells inside. They're all the same size, but the amount of 1850 batteries, something like that. How many of those are in there? So the battery also, the more powerful, the longer lasting battery you get, the heavier it is. So it adds weight.
Yeah.
So now you got to put that into consideration.
Well, how much does a unit cost? So you got
so just a unit cost is around $350.
$350, and you just told us you spent about $400 in batteries.
So,
$600.
No, around $650.
Man, so you got
plus you got to have chargers. So you got 2 chargers.
So you go all in. What are you at? Like
all in
$1,000?
for battery operated, right around $1,200.
$1,200 for just one weed eater.
2.
Oh, you got two weed eaters.
Two weed eaters, batteries and chargers, right around 1,200, maybe 1,500.
Now,
I don't know the
that's
numbers
a
off the top
lot
of
of
my
money.
head.
I can buy two of the steel FS 131s, which is like the higher end
Yeah.
model. I could buy two, almost three
Yeah.
of those for the cost of
You could.
the battery
You
operated
could.
option.
But you're dealing with an engine, gas engine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got to think of
apples and
tune-ups.
oranges, yeah.
You got to think of tune-ups. You don't do your small engine repair. So you got to take it to a shop. You're paying labor.
Sure.
Plus you're paying parts. Unless you do your own tune-ups, and then you're dealing with valve adjustments on the KMs, so, or the 131s. So all in all, and you're wasting gas on, or you're wasting money on fuel,
Yeah.
your two-stroke oil,
Yeah.
plus you have to drive there to buy the stuff and deliver your equipment. So all in all, I've not done the mathematics, but I could if I sit down and spend a week and do the math,
Yeah.
see which one's more which one will, which one's more efficient and will save you more money. But to me, I'm not like a eco guy. I'm not the guy that's
sure,
like,
Sure, I'm not really that guy either.
oh, I only use battery operated for the ecosystem. I'm not like that. I love testing out new things as well. I'm a curious guy that loves to test out new things, and this line came out and I'm like, well, I have all the attachments already for steel, so there's no point in me going with like a Milwaukee or DeWalt.
Sure.
So I'm just going to buy the power heads and test them out, and they're great. So I think there is a big potential for battery operated equipment.
Yeah.
They're making 0 turns now that are battery.
Yeah.
And
I
look
think-
at the cost. They're
yeah.
like 20 grand.
Yeah.
It's like
think-
buying a car.
Yeah, I think the battery operated stuff is great, but the technology and the battery technology, it's just not quite there yet
Yeah.
for me personally, especially on the commercial side of things.
Oh, yeah.
If you're watching this at home and you're like a DIY
Homeowner,
weekend
yeah.
warrior, battery operated all the way.
That's what I agree with you
Yeah.
100% there. And I've talked about it in my podcast episodes before. It's like, where's the line? Where do you draw the line
Yeah.
between residential and commercial?
Yeah.
The KMA 135s are commercial units, and that's why I get the more powerful batteries.
Yeah.
If I was just going to go and like get a trimmer for my house, man, I'd go battery all the way.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about, you just press a button and
I think
mow
we've both made videos about that,
Yeah.
and we talked about it's lightweight, easy to
Oh,
use,
yeah.
single
Yeah.
use. You just do it for a quick job.
take it off the charger, go
and
trim,
there's
and
no
that's it.
oil
Yeah.
gas mix, and there's
Yeah.
no pumping, there's no priming.
Because you spend only like, 10, 15 minutes max mowing your own yard.
Yeah.
Mowing, trimming, edging, blowing.
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes, and that's about how long they last.
Yeah.
But when you get into the commercial side, man, you need
Forget
to last
about
it
it.
all day.
Yeah.
You got to last all day. You either got to invest in a generator, little one, portable inverter that charges your batteries.
Did you
while
see
you're
the guy
driving.
in town here? He had solar panels on the
Mhm.
roof. It was
Yeah.
Clean Air Lawn Care.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he did it for a few years, but I think he ran into that
yeah.
barrier.
Yeah.
He just couldn't do it. I talked with him one time, and he couldn't do the bigger, larger commercial settings.
Yeah.
It was just really tough. And
I think
he's
it's
not-
easier to do it, to get into it when you're solo, but when you got employees, it's tough.
Forget about it.
Yeah, it's tough because your employees don't know. They'll crank it up to high, waste the battery, and then they're like, call you, boss, we don't have enough batteries,
Yeah.
we're dead.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think as a solo guy, you know your limits. You set it to low. You
Yeah.
save your battery consumption
Yeah.
and all that. And I think there's a potential there's a big potential for residential. There's a big potential for guys that are just starting out. But for businesses like your business,
can't
when you
do
got
it.
employees, it's tough to even start.
Yeah.
So
You just can't do it.
you got to test the waters a little bit and see if it's right for you. But yeah, like you said, I don't think it's there yet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. We've talked a lot today about how Phil got started. We kind of went down a rabbit hole.
Man,
We
that
talked
was-
about
that
some
went
things. We talked about some our personal hobbies here behind us. We talked about what have we learned this year, how
Yeah.
COVID has affected us, and our goals for next year. We're trying to tighten up our lane. We're trying to stay in our lane, and I don't know. I mean, I think we could talk all day about this, Phil, but maybe we should wrap things up. Maybe we should make an appointment, do this again in a
Yeah.
couple weeks sometime.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
keep it. So again, plug for Phil's Lawn Care here in Spokane, Washington. Chris at Keystone Lawn and Tree Care. And we haven't done our obligatory hey, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and like
Yeah.
and subscribe.
Make sure to like, comment your favorite part of this, and also comment. We want to hear your opinion on gas and battery operated, or your goals, or anything like that. So make sure to leave a comment down below. They really help, and they also help with the algorithm, the boosting of the video, and all that. So make sure to leave a like on Chris's videos and all that, and show your support.
All
So,
right. Well, thanks for joining me, Phil.
I appreciate it, Chris. It was
All
a
right,
great time.
take
We'll have
care.
to do this more. Man,
Yeah.
we could spend like hours talking.
Yeah, we
man.
could.
We got so many things we could talk about, but
Anyway,
we got to draw the line somewhere.
we do. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
Cool.
All right.
We could do another shot if you want, or we could just call.